Good afternoon, and I would like to call this meeting to order. I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. My name is Carrie Linklater, I'm your chairperson today, and I'm joined to my immediate left by Linda McFadden, and my far left, Mr. Richard Whitbread. Our city assessor today is Mr. Ryan Valderrama, and our admin secretary is Ms. Belen Rojo. We will begin hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. Statements that applicants or the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the board. The board is appointed annually by City Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included in the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. And as information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. Everybody down?
Ryan Valderrama.
And you swear the evidence about present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, to help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Myself and Navarro.
And you swear the evidence about present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, to help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Valderrama and Mr. Navarro. If you'd like to start us off, Mr. Valderrama,
For sure.
on the property with no address.
Yes. First property that we're going to deal with has a file number of 19-4848. It has a roll number of 06093236600. We're dealing with the roll year of 2020 using the reference date of April 1st, 2018. The property is assessed at $3,325,000. It is a vacant residential 2 with a zoning of multi-family. It has a land area of 206,758 square feet. On page 2, the rate per square foot is at $16.08. And on page 3 are the aerial photos of the subject property. On page 4 is the zoning. And on page 5 are some land sale comparables. They are all ranging from $11.48 up to $15.38 per square foot. And the sales range between 2013 to 2016. On the bottom of page 5 is the map of the subject property and the comparable land sales. And that's my presentation, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Navarro?
Yes. Two of your comparables actually show a sale price per acre of 500,000.
That's correct.
Okay. Now the price per acre of this property is how much? Or the assessment per acre?
Calculate that one. All I have is the rate per square foot. 700,000 roughly, just over 700,000.
700,000. Would you say that none of your sales actually support that value?
They were all older sales.
Okay.
And I mentioned that they are sales from 2013 and 2016.
Okay. And also, I noticed on the zoning that most of your properties are zoned RMFS, that is residential multifamily small, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And this property is zoned RMFL?
Yes, it's large.
Yes. Now, would there be any price difference between properties that are zoned with a large versus a small category on the RMFS?
I haven't seen that trend, I'm not sure.
Okay. Now, a couple of your comparables, Dave or Nantes, which is actually right in the neighborhood, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, these are, again, around $500,000 an acre, and these are 1.4 acres and 3.9 acres. Now, especially on the 1.4 acre parcel, wouldn't you agree that the smaller parcel would naturally have a higher rate per acre?
Yes, there is.
Economies of scale.
Yes, and as I mentioned, they are older sales.
Okay. Okay. Those are my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right.
Couple.
Yes, sir.
The property on page 5, comparable number 1, how many acres is that property?
Just at the bottom of 182,000, it's 4.18 acres.
Thank you, I didn't see that.
You're welcome.
4.18. And excuse my ignorance on this, but is this value you've derived at about 700,000 square feet, is that a model-driven value?
Yes, 700,000 per acre, yes, it is a model-driven value.
So can you just share what variables might be put into the model to get at that?
Some variables would be, of course, I mean, there are some factors with the location-wise, the size of it, influences, maybe zoning, I'm not too sure about zoning, but they're all the same zoning almost, multifamily, and some time adjustment as of April 1st, 2018.
And would properties around it have any impact on the value? Nearby, not the comparables, but like the build-up around the property?
Yes, that's a good question, sir. I would say not necessarily. It all depends if there's something influencing the other properties as well, land influences or.
So for example, if I could use this, a huge smelly horse manufacturing processing factory was next door, would that affect the property value?
I'm not sure because I have seen that case in the Archibald area where they still built residential houses, which still sold within the market values.
So near the $500,000 an acre.
That's in the Archibald area. I'm not sure how many per acre though.
Okay.
I have to be, I have to speak, I don't know about the per acre value in that area per se, but I have seen that houses there, brand new houses back then, sold for whatever the market is commanding. It doesn't matter whether there's a smell or not. There's a mushroom factory, I think, in that area.
There's still
So, I
processing.
mean, these external factors like smell in the area or something, I'm not sure if it's really a big factor.
Let me
for each
simplify
one.
it further than, what about a railroad track? Might that have an impact?
I think if it's crossing on the property, it may. Again, I mean, it depends on how it is zoned too. I mean, something that's close to a railroad track might be zoned differently.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure what, but it might be zoned differently. So in this case, it's medium traffic, external corner bus routes. They're typical of a busy residential area, kind of, where you can build a multifamily complex. So an example that you mentioned is railroad. I don't see any railroad that's really close. I'm not sure if I have it on my aerial photos. Let me just double check on that.
I
to
was
make
just
sure.
using it as an example.
No, yeah.
I don't know.
But yes. Mhm.
Okay. No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. No further questions, thank you.
Thank you. Just to follow up on that,
Yes, ma'am.
for example, your comparable number 2, or number 1 has got light traffic as a land influence as compared to heavy traffic. So how would that impact the value that's put on?
Light is against the medium traffic again.
And a bus route and an external corner.
Of course, if you're gonna put a multi-family complex,
Mhm.
it would, if I'm gonna rent in a complex, I would want, if I don't have a car, of course, a bus route would be a really nice feature.
Mhm.
An external corner would be high visibility, you'll see some traffic. But of course, I mean, medium traffic might also indicate that there could be some activities going on around the area, maybe some neighborhood shopping center, I'm not sure, but it could be a main thoroughfare where it could be snowplowed first before the interior streets. So there could be a small difference it would make, but I don't see it as being a big factor, except for, of course, the bus route. I mean,
So you don't see comparable number 1 to be to be a better piece of land, a more valuable piece of land because of that?
no, I don't see it that way. It's
Okay.
more of they're fairly comparable in a way, with an exception of a few land influences.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
That's all.
So, Mr. Valderrama, page 5 of your brief.
Madam Chair, yes.
The location of your comparables. Subject property is in Sage Creek, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Sage Creek is a new development?
Relatively newer, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes.
Desirable development?
I would say yes.
Yeah. Because comparable 1, which is over in Beaver Hill Boulevard in
Mhm.
Niagara Place.
Correct.
Did you have a chance to look at the vacant property?
No, I wasn't able to.
Okay. So would you say comparable 1 is not necessarily a desirable piece of land compared to the subject?
Could be a desirable one. Towards Bishop Granton, this is, yeah, you can build another multifamily complex in this lot. In terms of desirability, it's also in a residential area. Single-family dwellings are in there as well. I mean, it's almost the same features, or maybe the same area, well, not location, but in terms of the area that it is in, it's almost the same as the subject property, where it also has single-family dwelling, small neighborhood shopping complex, maybe a school inside here, I'm not too sure too, but
So-
yeah, I mean, it's fairly same in terms of what's around it.
But you didn't have a chance to see the location of
No,
comparable
I
number
wasn't
1.
able to.
So comparable 2 and 3, which are both in Sage Creek,
Yes, they're both in Sage Creek.
and they are considerably smaller than the subject area.
Yes, they are.
So then out of comparable 1, 2, and 3, which would you use, or which would you say is your best comparable?
The ones in Sage Creek area would be the closest in terms of proximity, in terms of the location. And of course, I mean, they were sold in 2013, we're dealing with 2018, so I mean, it's 5-year difference. And
Right,
back
so
then,
that was-
2013, there's a lot more competition in terms of lands being sold in the area of Sage Creek, but right now, I mean, there could be some other lands, however, it's getting less and less as we go through time. So the value of the property, given less supply, we know that it's gonna go up. I mean, it's in theory.
In theory, okay.
Yes.
So is that why the economy of scale is not being taken into consideration on the subject property? Like it's selling, you've got it at 1608, and comparable 2 and 3 are at 1148, much smaller.
Well, 1148, I mean, if we look at 1148, it applied to both 61,000 and almost 139,000, so, which is still a big disparity. And given that they're almost sold almost at the same time, I mean, is it really a factor in terms of the selling price? I think this is more of, it shows that there could be, but there could not be any factors pertaining to the size.
And, sorry, page 5 is model driven
Page, which one?
of your brief. Page 5, it's all model driven.
Oh, the comparables?
Yeah,
No, they're actual sales.
okay. Can you explain the RMFS and the RMFL?
I think it's more of restrictions pertaining to how many units you can build. I think that's the main factor in terms of that zoning. Did I bring it? I'm not sure if I have it. RMS. I don't have it on top of my head. There's so much zoning. I'm just. If I could go through it, I know it's it has something to do with how many units you can build. If I can find it right away, just go through it. Oh, here. Let's see if it's here. Okay. Terms of yards. Visible master. Just looking at my cheat sheet here. If I can find it. RMFS, RMFL. It's the front yard. The RMFS has 20 feet, and then the RMFL only has I shouldn't say only, has 25 feet. And then the minimum lot area per dwelling for RMFS, it's 1,250 square feet, and RMFL has 400 square feet of dwelling unit. In terms of the minimum lot size to be considered, RMFS, minimum should be 9,000 square feet, and RMFL should be 20,000 square feet. So I think that won't make a difference because they're both over 9,000 square feet or 20,000 square feet for that matter. It's more on, I think, the lot area per dwelling unit. So meaning how many units you can fit in a given land
So
area.
the ratio.
Yes.
So,
Mhm.
sorry, what was it again on RMFS?
RMFS is 1250 or 1,250 square feet, and RMFL has 400 square feet.
400 square feet?
400?
Yes.
That's-
400?
So meaning you can fit more units in an RMFL compared to our RMFS. For example, if both have 20,000 square feet, the 1,250 restriction would only fit in a few units, roughly, less than 20. And then if you have 400, you'll fit in a lot, way more than 10 units, for sure,
So is
in an
that-
RMFL.
But,
That's high rise. Mhm.
okay. Okay, thank you, that's all my questions. Mr.
Okay.
Claro.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll just start off with talking about RMFS, RMFM, and RMFL. So what Mr. Valderrama was actually referring to is density.
Right.
So
Oh, to
the
make it-
RMFL allows for a greater density. That's why the size is actually going down on the units. But you're allowed to actually build more units in general. So that's higher density as opposed to RMFS, which is lower density. So typically RMFS, you would see, it would be more like newer row housing. RMFM enters into the, it can be a 3-story walk-up apartment or a condo. It has a medium-sized density, but it, again, it's slightly higher, or slightly lower than what the RMFS is. Now, when you get to the RMFL, that tends to be a very intensive density. So you can pack a lot of units into one building. And that tends to be what the large modern condos are. They're not excessively large in terms of the suite sizes, but there's a lot of units in them, and they tend to be very large buildings. And we'll see some pictures as we go on in my brief here. So I'll start off here on page 2. You can see an overhead view of the property. It's in Sage Creek. On the next page over, you can see pan out and see its relationship to Bishop Grandin and La Jamolier. So I think most of us are familiar with this area. It's just south of the Mint. In terms of the property description, again, it's a 4.7 acre parcel, roughly 200,000 square feet, zone RMFL. And the highest and best use is considered to be its current use. However, it will change. Obviously, it will become some type of higher density development. In terms of the approach that we're using, the income approach at this point doesn't have any relevance. There's nothing on the site except for land, so we think the direct comparison approach is probably the best method. So we have a bunch of sales here. We have 5 sales. Index 1 is Beaver Hill. This is a 4.1 acre parcel sold in 2016 for $2.8 million. And that is roughly $669,815. I believe this is the same one that the assessor has. The only problem with this sale, I believe, is on page 9. You can see index 1 picture of it. So this is categorized as a bare land sale, but when I look at this, I can see that there's clearly some buildings there. So whether these buildings attributed to that land value, that is the question mark here with this sale. And it's a problematic sale for that reason. I included it in my grouping, but when we look at this picture, there's clearly something up with this sale. If you look at index 2, this is Sage Creek, 137,135 square feet, roughly 3.15 acres, sold in 2017. 1.482 million, that's 1081 per square foot, or 470,747. Now this one is zone RMFM. Now if you look at page 2, or index 2 on page 10, you can see that I've outlined it in red there. So it's a fairly large condominium complex that's being built there. Now, the curious thing about this property is that it's essentially located across the street from our subject. And it's sold in 2017. Now, our subject is zone RMFL, which allows for greater density, obviously. But again, at that point, I think that is something that you can adjust for. The next property is Bridge Lake. That is 207,598 square feet, 4.77 acres, sold in 2016 for $2.862 million, 1379 per square foot, or 600,000 an acre, roughly. And you can turn to page 11 and see index 3. So I believe, don't quote me on this, I think this area is called South Point. I could be wrong. It's part of West Waverly West, but I think it's called South Point. So it's a very similar situation as in Sage Creek. I think very comparable, and again, we're talking about quite a substantial difference in terms of the square foot rate and the acreage rate. The next one over is, I don't know, it doesn't have a civic address or a street name. So, but we will say that it's in the same area as the previous property. In fact, it's actually right beside it. So you can see on page 12, that index 4. And again, you can see the startup of a development there in the picture. That one is actually zoned RMFL. So the curious thing about these two sales is that they're located right beside each other in the same area. And you can see the difference in the zoning, RMFM and RMFL, and see the difference in the pricing. Now the RMFL sold in 2017, the RMFM sold in 2016, and you can see the price difference there. It's actually indicating that the RMFM has a higher rate per acre, higher rate per square foot than the RMFL. Now, the last one is way up in the Maples area, near Brookside and Jefferson. So this will likely become some type of higher density development. Again, it is zoned RMFM. Sold for $13.21, $5.75 per acre. The average of these sales is $573,874 per acre. What I've tried to show here is essentially that the property is overassessed. There's nothing supporting $700,000 an acre. In fact, all the indicators show somewhere in that 500 to 550,000 is more appropriate. In fact, the subject has a comparable right beside it, which sold for $470,000 an acre. Now, I'm advocating for $541,000 per acre. That is my presentation. The end value is $2,545,000.
Thank you. Mr. Valderrama, did you have any questions?
No questions for now, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
I don't have any. I do. Just one, page 10 of your brief on
Okay.
index 2, you'd indicated that the subject property is across from your comparison. Is it this?
Yes.
Little, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And it extended north, I just couldn't fit it in.
Yeah.
I tried to get two pictures in there, one of pan out, pan in.
So out of the comparables that you provided on page 6 of your brief, which do you think is the most, which is the best, in your opinion?
I mean, the closest one obviously is the best comparable, but I made an adjustment to it. But clearly, I mean, it happened the year before the reference year.
Right.
It is RMFM. The indicators are shown actually on the other parcels in Bridgewater, or is it Bridgewater? Bridge Lake, that that the RMFM actually came out higher than the RMFL. You know what, I'm sticking with my 545,000 an acre. But yeah, the parcel beside it is the best comparable.
Just out of curiosity, would an investor look at the RNFM as more desirable than an L in terms of less risk? Is there risk associated with the,
I tend to think that as the parcels get bigger, there can be less risk to them because you can carve them up, you can subdivide them. There's just more land to play with. As the parcels get smaller, there tends to be more risk to them.
did you have any questions, Mr. Valderrama?
Just out of curiosity, with regard to zoning, RMFM would you agree that it's kind of restrictive in terms of how many units can be placed in an RMFM compared to an RMFL?
How many units?
Yeah.
Well, there are differences in the zoning categories, yes, obviously. And again, there are variances that can deal with small differences, but I think in terms of large differences, yeah, there is a difference between RMFL and RMFM. However, if the acreages are similar in size, I would say that there isn't that much of a difference. And so one of the things that I've stressed in looking at my comparables is having relative size. So you don't see any 1 acre parcels here or any half-acre parcels here. They're all, multi-acres, 3 and above, while ours is 4.7. So I think, given that there is some differences in terms of the zoning, the acreages themselves are very similar.
So the zoning, RMFM on the Sage Creek sale of 137,135 land area would only fit in 171 units. Would that be fair to assume? Or I calculated it out of curiosity.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the scale of the project. I mean, you can see a picture of it and see exactly what it is. I would say that it's not a small condo complex.
No.
You can see it's quite large.
Yeah, the potential is about 171 units, and then the subject property probably can have more than double 170 units, more than the 170 units.
I think spread out over probably several buildings in terms of the density that you're looking at. If you're thinking height, no, there's going to be height restrictions on this. It's in a suburban neighborhood, so you're not going to have a 10-story or 15-story building here. Okay. It's going to be restricted to probably 5 or 6 stories.
Okay, that's all the questions I have.
Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the next property. Mr. Valderrama, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next one has a file number 19-4926. It has a roll number of 12097804960, and it is located at 958 McMillan Avenue. We're dealing with the roll year of 2018 on this one, Madam Chair, and we're using the reference date of April 1st, 2016. The assessed value is at $686,000.
Yeah, sorry, can you just hold up? I think we've got them in reverse.
Oh, sorry.
2020 is right.
Sorry,
Oh, sorry.
they're in
Are we
reverse
gonna
on
do-
our docket.
Okay,
so-
we'll deal with 2020 first. Is that,
Yeah, if we could go,
okay, sure, sorry.
no worries.
Yeah, I have my briefs arranged according to the assessment years. I apologize.
Yes, ours seem to be backwards, so that's fine. If you can, 4, 6, 7.
Okay. If I may proceed, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Thank you. The next property has a file number of 19-4927. It has a roll number of 12097804960. It is located at 958 McMillan Avenue. We're dealing with the roll year of 2020 using the reference date of April 1st, 2018. The assessed value for the property is $686,000. It is a VRES 2 or a vacant residential 2 with a zoning of RMFM or residential multifamily. It has a land area of 12,089 square feet. And on page 2, as I have highlighted, the net rate per square foot is at $56.75. And we have it assessed at the net area of 12,089 square feet. On page 3 are aerial photos of the subject property. On page 4 is the zoning map. And on page 5 are some land sale comparables. There are 4 comparables. They are all ranging from $52.26 up to $76.83 per square foot. And they all vary in terms of date of sale, ranging from 2013 up to 2015. On page 5 at the bottom part is the map of the subject property and the comparable land sales. And that's all I have, Madam Chair, for my presentation.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Navarro, questions?
Yes. Now, I'm looking at your comparables here, and would you say that most of the comparables are coming from the area of the Osborne Village?
Yes.
Okay. Now, are there any influences there that would make these better locations?
Looking at my land influences, they're all medium traffic. Comparable 4 has a commercial influence. Some corner influence, that's about it in terms of land influences.
Now, I mean, I've been in the Osborne Village too many times, but can you tell me, is there shopping in this area?
I would say yes, together with it's almost pretty similar to where the subject property is, which is located close to Corridon Avenue, or Corridon Street, I should say.
Okay. So you've been in this area many times?
A few times, I would say,
So you know
in the
that-
Osborne area and the Corridon area.
You're familiar with there being restaurants and shopping and quite a bustling neighborhood?
Yes, same goes with the Corridon area, yes. They're pretty similar.
Okay. Now, the subject you said is in the Corridon area, but the Corridon area that I'm familiar with is the stuff that's actually east of Stafford, right? That's what you're referring to, right?
Yes.
Okay. And this is actually west of Stafford in a strictly residential neighborhood, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So would you say that the two are then comparable?
Well, being a block away or a couple blocks away from the east of Stafford, I would say yes, they are still comparable. The comparable sales that I have are not on Osborne itself, so it's interior, or I would say maybe even west, closer to Macmillan area, which in my map, I'm just looking at my map, sorry, on page 5. So I would say they're pretty comparable in terms of where they are and the surrounding areas.
Those are my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitler?
No questions?
Thank you.
Ms. McFadden?
No questions.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you know this or not, Mr. Valderrama, but was there previously an existing building on this property?
I am not sure. I didn't go as far back
Okay.
in terms of years. But yes.
Okay, maybe Mr. Navarro knows. Okay, I have no further questions.
Okay. Again, the property is located on the corner of Harrow Street and Macmillan, so this is just north of Corridon. You can see an overhead view of the property on page 3. I'm sorry, I don't know why these printed out this way. Usually, I must have hit the wrong print setting. But on page 4, I can go over the property description. So the subject is 12,089 square feet, zone RMFM, residential multifamily, medium, not large, and is located on the southeast corner of McMillan Avenue and Harrow Street. The property had been improved with single-family residences which had been vacant for a number of years. The original owners had hoped to demolish the houses and convert the properties into parking for the office building beside it, but this was denied. The alternative was to demolish the 2 houses and construct a multi-family structure. However, the City Council decided in September 2012 that only a 5-plex and a 3-plex development would be allowed as 2 separate structures. The increased cost of 2 structures and limited density of only 8 units over both parcels, 956 and 958 McMillan, resulted in this use being economically infeasible. The current owners purchased the properties in 2013 and demolished the structures in the summer of 2014. The hope was that the 2 properties would be part of the Corridon-Osborne area plan, which had called for higher density residential development and may allow for limited density as a multi-family property to be increased. Through 2011 and 2012, the plan extended to the western edge of Harrow Street. However, in the final plan drafted in 2014, the boundary was moved eastward to Stafford. The property is now being developed into a 3-story condominium complex, and I believe it is complete, and that would be the reason that we're not pursuing the 2020 on this one.
Sorry, you're not pursuing.
We're just going to ask for confirmation on it.
Okay.
So
So this discussion then applies to the next 2 as well, right? Is that what you're asking us?
yeah.
Okay.
The highest and best use is its current use. And again, this is going back to 2018 and 2019, so we have to think of this as basically bare land, even though the 2019 construction was already underway. So the income approach is out. It's basically the direct sales comparison approach. I have a group of sales here of RMFM, RMFS, C2, and RMFM, properties that were converted into condominiums. Now, RMFS is obviously a lower density development. However, in terms of the actual size of the parcels, they're similar in size. C2 condo, or C2 is a commercial designation, commercial zoning. However, C2 actually allows for quite a few uses within that zoning category. So this is one of the reasons that these properties can be easily converted into condominiums or apartment buildings. Based on the sales above, I believe that index 1 and 4 are probably the best comparables. However, I don't think there is very good comparables for any of these for this property and any of the groupings, either mine or the assessor. It's a very unique situation where you have a condominium being built within a strictly residential neighborhood like this. We're talking low density residential neighborhood. From my understanding of this development, it actually, there was a lot of backlash from the community against building this property. And you would not find that in the other properties. In this property you would, so it was a riskier property to get into from the development perspective. I've given it a rate per square foot of 2602. The assessment is somewhere around 54, I believe. Unfortunately, there's just not a lot out there. 267 Sherbrooke, I would say, is in close proximity to it. It's a larger parcel. Unfortunately, but the sale is older. It was there's a condominium or apartment that's being built there, but it's also in a heavier traffic area. So, in a certain sense, it has those influences on it. that's my presentation.
Thank you. Mr. Valderrama, questions?
Not at the moment, Madam Chair.
Mr. Whitbeck?
I think I heard you say there's not much out there. Is that true?
Yeah.
It's a pretty built-up area.
Well, it's rare to find a building of this scale, and I'm not saying that this building is excessively big. It's a medium density condominium. I don't know if you've ever driven by it. It's not excessively large, however, it's rare to find these types of properties within residential neighborhoods like this. And that's why there was such a backlash against this property. Some people view it as an eyesore. I mean, I tend to think that it's progressive. I like it, but that's my opinion.
So would you not say that scarcity of supply drives the value up, in spite of what you said about the neighbors?
I would say that it drives it up somewhat. However, land itself in this area, I think, would be cheaper than land in the Osborne Village area in general. So, I mean, I can't quantify it, but it's my opinion that the land would simply just be cheaper in this area.
Thank you. That's all my questions, Madam Chair.
Just have a follow-up, Madam Chair, on that one with regard to his question.
I'm sorry.
I just have a follow-up on the question.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's just mentioned that in Osborne area is the Osborne area is more expensive than the subject property, or where the subject property is located, correct?
Okay.
Yeah. So would you say that the subject property where it is located would be probably way more valuable compared to the land sale comparables that are on your page 6?
I would say that the easiest road to development is where the price is. So if a property is easy to develop, then it will have a higher price because there's just lower risk there. If there is greater impediments to development, there's higher risk, those prices I would think would fall. Actually, it has the opposite effect. It's kind of like a capitalization rate. If the capitalization rate starts to go down, there's lower risk, there's higher price. This has that same effect.
That's all the questions I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Questions? My only question is, you had a chance to visit this property?
I was actually there yesterday, but I mean, I've driven past it many times on the way to Balmoral Hall.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And I believe the 2019 would be the same thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't.
Without preempting the brief, I have the same comparables, the same content
Correct.
for 18 and 19.
Yeah.
Right.
As in my 20.
Because we have to appeal.
But we still have to
Yeah.
read
Yes,
in
and
the
I will
role
do
and,
that, Madam Chair.
yes. So if you'd like to proceed.
For sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. The next one has a file number of 19-4925. It has a roll number of 1209780490. It is located at 958 Macmillan Avenue. We're dealing with the roll year of 2019. Using the reference date of April 1st, 2016, the assessed value is $686,000. All other descriptions and characteristics are all the same as the 2020 presentation that I had. Madam Chair. And if I may proceed with 2018, if there are no questions.
Were we doing the 2018 or 2020?
We were doing the 2020.
Oh.
The first one.
Oh, I thought we were doing the 2018.
Well, it's reversed on our docket. Normally, we would have
Oh,
proceeded
I
first
presented on the
with
2018.
I guess it's.
I didn't even catch that.
Well, that's why I asked them that.
Yeah.
Get it right,
Yeah.
because we had it in the other order.
Oh, well.
Sorry, I had something
I'm
else in
sorry,
my agenda, that's why I didn't catch it.
I
That's
reversed
okay.
things there. I was actually presenting on the 2018-2019.
Okay.
The 2020, I'm confirming.
You're confirming.
Yeah.
That's what I was,
And I think you said that earlier too.
Yeah.
Yeah, just mentioned.
you
You
did
guys
say
are-
that in your speech, and then I thought, and I'm
Yes.
wondering if you were, yeah.
Because there is going to be a supplementary issue on
Right,
that.
issue, yeah. No worries.
So I guess the arguments and presentation would apply on this one, not on the 2020.
You got it.
That's absolutely
Okay.
fine.
And then the 2018, Madam Chair? Or direct?
Sorry, I'm just gonna follow procedure.
Sure.
We're turned around enough. Panel, did you have any questions of
No.
the assessor? Okay.
No.
And and I have no questions, Mr. Navarro, you have already presented evidence on this property previously, and you have nothing else to add, I assume?
I don't.
Okay. Thank you. Would like to proceed, Mr. Boardroom?
Yes, Madam Chair. The next one has a file number of 19-4926. It has a roll number of 12097804960. It is located at 958 Macmillan Avenue. We're dealing with the roll year of 2018. Using the reference date of April 1st, 2016, the assessed value for this property is $686,000. And the same property description characteristics as the previous presentation, Madam Chair, on this one, and even comparable sales are the same.
And panel, did you have any questions?
No further question.
I do have one question, Mr. Valderrama. Did you have a chance to visit the subject property?
No, I wasn't able to.
Okay. Did you have a chance to look at the comparables that you provided, to visit those?
No, I wasn't able to.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Navarro, I'm assuming you have no questions of the assessor?
I have no questions, yes.
And then I'm assuming your value, et cetera, and what you presented previously remains
Yes.
the same? And that concludes our hearing, actually concludes your portion, Mr. Navarro.
Yes.
We're just gonna take a